Clay Vance is back, and with my boy.
Catch up.
Yeah, we back for it's episode 3 now. And today, you
Episode
guys,
2.
episode 2, but our third installment of the
Yes,
podcast. You
sir.
know, we had the intro. Now, today, as you see, we're going to talk about, are luxury cars worth it? Now, luxury, the word that kind of goes far and wide about what it actually means to be luxury versus high-end sports car. We're gonna go with the title is just high-end because we want to have it to basically cater to our wishes of what cars we would actually get had we have gotten a luxury car. Now, I'm gonna give my top 3-ish 4 luxury cars that I would get that I can see myself potentially getting in real life. You know, I want to keep it realistic. We got one little far-fetched car, but the other ones I think are pretty realistic, especially if our main goal is to get this car. You know, you save as much as you want, you make your goals correct. You can afford pretty much anything you want if you get a good credit, if you get your loans. Excuse me, if you take care of your business. You know, you're not out here having a whole bunch of kids that you can't afford at one time. You know what I'm saying, and all that. But no further ado. Ryan's going to talk about his 3 luxury high-end cars. And then I'm going to give my high-end cars. And then we're going to debate basically one versus his one. So basically his lowest level. Mine, we're doing a little. So basically the first level of cars are the 40 to 60K range of high-end cars. The second one is like 100 to 200K end of luxury cars. And the third is the far-fetched and the 200K and above. So Ryan, what you got?
All right, so for my one pick for 40 to 60K, I'm gonna go with a Porsche Cayman. And first off, all right, we'll just throw it out. All right, so I'm gonna go with a Porsche Cayman. And which one did you go with for that price range?
I went with a Alfa Romeo Stelvio, and I couldn't decide between the BMW X4. The Alfa Romeo is around 40K. That's about a $379 lease for 39 months with perfect credit. And the BMW, the BMW X4 is around 51K.
Okay, I have to look up the Stelvio right now. Okay, so
yeah, it's a little SUV. You know how I like. I've grown to like the SUVs, the little crossovers. You know, the X4 is like a crossover type car, big man car. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep. No, yeah, I know your recent kind of interest in those cars. Personally, not a fan of. I just personally think they kind of look weirdly proportioned, but that's just me. But anyways, Alfa Romeo, yes, there's I think kind of recently they came back with some cars that are kind of in this price range that we're going for, where they're kind of just slightly more expensive than your average car, but not crazy expensive, especially for a name for Alfa Romeo. I feel like that's definitely a name that I feel like is associated with luxury.
Yeah, Italiano.
That's right. So I guess I'll go into a little reason about my pick. I'm a big fan of Porsche. I'm gonna pronounce it Porsche. I used to be hard on like, oh, it's pronounced Porsche, but honestly, whatever, Porsche is easier to say. And so yeah, I've been a big fan of Porsche, and the Cayman is like the kind of entry level. I think it's probably the cheapest Porsche you can get. I was looking at, I think the 2019 model year starts around 57,000, so it's toward the top of our 40 to 60K price range. But I mean, this pick and all my picks are definitely in the line of more geared towards like a sports car, luxury car, and because that's definitely what my interests are. And so I'm looking for something that's a good driving car, and I think Porsches are really known for their kind of like being driving centric and being really nice cars, like really nice handling cars that drive really nice.
Just say Porsche, because I see you're struggling to say Porsche. I can literally hear it in your voice. You say Porsche. If you ever watch
Uh,
a commercial, if you guys are into cars, you watch a commercial. They do say Porsche. I don't like saying Porsche because I like saying
well,
Porsche. But
so Porsche is like, the German correct way, but I actually came across recently, apparently there's like a stigma about the people that are always correcting people about the pronunciation. And apparently they're really annoying. So I didn't want to come off across that, but I do prefer, yes, saying Porsche. So
Reddit.
yes. So that is my pick. I think that could be worth it. 57K. I don't know. Honestly,
You got the stats on it. You got the
uh,
HP. You got the torque. Like
I got
what's
a
going on? What's this?
couple
What's the 0 to
stats.
60, boy?
I think it starts at around 300 horsepower, and they're I think around 3,000 pounds. Um, you know, the mileage is 22 city, 29 highway. Nothing crazy, but it's they're sports cars, but it's honestly that's not that bad for a sports car. The
It's not. Yeah.
Porsche Caymans, it's a lightweight. It's got I think it's like a flat four, or is it considered a boxer engine? I don't know. I did a ton of research, but the engine's in the middle of the car. It's in front of no, it's a rear engine. Wow, it's a rear engine over over the rear wheels, but like it's got a good balance. Yeah, I think I was kind of thinking, if you're gonna get a Porsche though, is it worth it, to get a 911, just go like way up in price, but to get, that classic, Porsche that's so famous and has a lot more performance. So as far as if it's honestly worth it, I don't know. In 40 to 60K for getting, I probably wouldn't get a brand new Porsche Cayman. I would maybe look for a used one that's maybe even under, like maybe 30 to 40K is what I would consider maybe worth it.
Okay. So on my end, the Alfa Romeo is an 8-speed auto transmission. Now 8-speed, that's a lot for SUV. Usually around 6. 280 horsepower, 306 torque. So not nothing too crazy. It is SUV. Top speed is 144, topping out. The 0 to 60 is 5.4, which is pretty quick for an SUV. The interior is absolutely beautiful. 29 miles per gallon. And coming with the standard all-wheel drive, takes premium gas. So my thing, New York, snow, rain, hail, sleet. That you need an all-wheel drive. I really didn't know how important all-wheel drive was until last year. Long drives home from school, and it snowed a little bit one time. And because there was just so much people out, and like just how the way the traffic was going with the snow and stuff, it was just terrible. It took me like 3-4 hours to get home when I lived 40 minutes away from school. And like sometimes when you try to stop, you literally just don't stop because you don't have all-wheel drive. You don't have that double traction from the front and the rear wheels. Um, it's just crazy. And then the BMW, BMW is just sick, literally just a monster. BMW is a 2-liter twin turbo inline 4-cylinder, 0 to 60 in 6 seconds, which is very bizarre. How the Alfa Romeo is faster than BMW, but also has lower horsepower. It's only 248 horsepower, and it's only 28 miles per gallon. So the pros, does it outweigh the 28 miles per gallon? I don't know. The top speed is 130, but to me personally, this is probably a very underrated asset to a high-end luxury car is having run flats. Now, I don't know you guys, but have you ever had to change a tire? If you have, you must know how essential a run flat could be to your life. It could be dark. I have a friend. I have a friend from upstate. He got a big old bolt stuck in his tire, and that man was stuck on the middle of a highway for an entire day. Literally, his parents were at work. He was just stranded. He was literally stranded on a highway the entire day. It's not because he didn't know how to change a tire. It's just because the tires haven't been changed on his car for so long that when he tried to put the what's that thing called around the big
Spare.
the X, like the X, the tool that you like the basically the
Oh,
Yeah, the tool. It's like a cross. It's a big
Yeah,
cross.
yeah,
You stick into your car, and when the bolt is stuck, you're usually supposed to step on it to help it spin. He said he stepped on it and it stripped it. It stripped the bolt.
yeah.
He was stripped the bolt. He was on the side of the road for hours. Now, if he had run flats, he'd have been good. He would have made it home, and then he would have been able to figure out what was going on. Like it would have been that easy. His pops had to pull up with the lug nut gun, and he was able to get it off at that part. But like, yo, I mean, the high end cars are looking like they worth it. I mean, you're stuck on the side of the road, or you're gonna be at your house and nice warm. Now, imagine if it was raining or snowing or God knows what that day. Like that would have been terrible.
Yeah, I had to change the tire in like a full on blizzard
Oh
because
my
I was
God.
pulling to a parking spot and there was snow like covering where the curb was, and I hit the curb pretty hard, and it just destroyed like the sidewall of the tire. And so I just do it like in the middle of the snowstorm, but I was able to change it to the spare. But I mean, so yeah, obviously there are those run flats could definitely save
Yeah,
you. But they're
definitely.
probably also more expensive to replace every time you wear through them. So
That
like
is
obviously
true.
luxury cars are going to have higher maintenance. Even like oil changes, every little thing is
Yeah.
just going to be more expensive.
Now,
Another thing
what
I
happened?
just want
You go.
I was going to bring up the fact, especially with this price range, kind of like that entry level, like just above your average, Toyota, or whatever, this luxury car.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting how the kind of the trend of you're kind of paying just to have some technologies like ahead of the rest of the cars.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, I haven't been in too many like brand new like 2019 BMWs. So when I'm thinking of these luxury cars compared to the the normal cars like the Camrys and the Kias and the Hondas of today, I mean all the things they have with the adaptive cruise control, like automatic braking, like the
Oh
lane
yeah.
departure assist, the backup cameras, the touch screens, like Apple Car. I don't even know what the Apple Car
Apple
thing is.
CarPlay. Yeah, Apple CarPlay.
Like I feel like all these things are just there's so many new like features that are just available on like any basic car that it's
Yeah.
almost like you're almost getting like a luxury car for
You know. Yeah. You know what it is though? It's basically it's like the base model cars are now getting luxury interiors just without the performance. But
right.
the gap between the luxury cars interiors versus the regular cars interiors are kind of minimal improvements, but when you experience it's kind of like having an ankle brace when you're injured. You don't realize like there's a point where you don't need it anymore, but you wear it because you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So basically like the newer features in the new cars are like heated steering wheels, stuff like that. Like when you don't have a heated steering wheel, you're like, what do I need a heated steering wheel for? But I've talked to people who have the luxury high end cars. I'm not sure if they have heated steering wheels in like regular cars now, but they were talking about I need heated steering wheel. It's the most important part. Like there's heated mirrors. I know there's heated mirrors on
Yeah.
the newer luxury cars. They have like their monograms shown from the mirrors on the floor so you can see when you get out of cars. The dashboard, it's all digital. So those are kind of just like little minor things that I don't know if they really push the needle so much. So as Ryan was saying, see that's the also one of the biggest concepts where it's like, is a brand new luxury high end car worth it, or is a 2 year old luxury high end car worth it? See, there's a different aspects where you could say, oh, I'd rather just get the one that's used, 2 years old, way cheaper, yada yada. Or you can have the kind of thought process I have sometimes where it's if I'm spending this much, I might as well go that extra mile to get the newest product. But let's go on to the number two cars.
All right. Yeah. The I also kind of want to add on to that just a little bit.
Okay, go
The
go go.
because all these cars, I don't know if you mentioned, all these cars we're picking are like the most current model.
Yeah,
Like
these are the most
we're talking
current.
about like brand new. I think there's a very valid argument for buying a car that's just a couple years old, because the first few years of a car's life is when it depreciates the most. Like especially these kind of luxurious cars, they're going
That
to
is very
depreciate a
true.
lot in those few years. So if you could pick one up for like decent miles in good shape, you could probably save a lot of money on that.
That's very
And
true. Oh,
yeah, well, also personally, I drive a 2009 Camry, and I don't have like I think once I heard that heated steering wheel was a thing, like every time I get in the car now, and I'm holding out of that steering wheel, I'm like, I want I want heated steering wheels. It's just the little things are nice, but yeah, it's also kind of like the early adapters, the people who it's like the people who bought the Samsung folding phone.
yeah,
It's like that. I mean, and it came out for like $1,000 or was it 2,000? I don't even know.
yeah,
It's like there's the certain people that want the newest best thing, and there's also some people I think that like they just like brandings of things. So it's like having a new BMW, a new like a certain brand. There's a lot of factors, but yes. So
yeah.
all right, so move on to our next bracket
Next bracket, next tax bracket.
of $100,000 to $200,000. So okay, I'm gonna go with kind of a personal favorite. So my favorite model of a car, just in general across all its like history of the car, is definitely the Corvette. And so I'm gonna go with like a 2019 Corvette ZR1, which is kind of like the top of the line performance version, which starts at 121,000. And as far as a car that's worth it, you could argue that a Corvette's not luxury. That definitely has like a reputation for not having great interiors and all that. But I think for what I'm really into performance cars and getting that the value performance, and I feel like this car has got to be in that conversation for a luxury car that's worth it. And 121,000, but 755 horsepower, like the supercharged V8. I mean, the thing it hauls. And you can get like a 8-speed automatic with the paddle shifters. I mean just the paddle shifters alone transform pretty much any car because that just adds so much time, or it takes away so much time in its acceleration. I think it's just a real sweet car. How about you, Clay? What was your pick?
Paddle shifters. That's a really good point. So Ryan with a personal favorite. I actually didn't know that's a personal favorite. I thought Porsches were his personal favorite. The Carrera GT. But mine, of course, if you know me and you know me anything about cars, my favorite car of all time is Nissan Skyline, 100%. But here, I believe the 1999 as well. But I'm gonna go with the Nissan GTR. This is the 2019-2021 right here. This one goes for 113K. And this car, the new one, is so sick because I feel like they kind of went back to the Skyline roots. Um, Instead of like the big bodies of the newer GTRs, which I didn't like as much when I first started liking the Skyline. But I've grown to like it just because if you see them drive on the highway, they do not move like a big body car. Have you ever seen how a Lambo moves on a highway? Similar to Lambos, where it kind of looks like they glide from one lane to another. It's a sight that you can't really describe. You have to see it because any person that sees a Lambo for their first time, I love how they tell me what it was like because it's literally the same thing, and it's so crazy because their wheels are so big, and I don't really know how it, but when you see them switch lanes, it's almost like they're literally moving like completely horizontally. No diagonal movement. It's literally like so. That's just how GTRs move as well. It's so cool. Um, GTR is a monster performance wise. Me personally, I don't really. I'm not gonna say I don't care for performance because the ability to do something and doing it are two different things. So to have the ability to really tear up the road is just crazy. So 565 horsepower, insane. This is base model, by the way. 467 torque. Of course, run flats. All-wheel drive for the New Yorkers and the people on the north side. This is a twin turbo V6, 3.8 liter, 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. I don't know if you guys know how fast that is, but 2.9 seconds is ridiculous. And this is base model, as I've said, base model. Go on YouTube, watch some base models, and then watch some performance models when they mod it for track. I said we were going to bring up track cars because Ryan would have went crazy and picked a Pagani or something like that, but man would have named a Pagani that you guys had never heard, or some, yeah. Or he would have picked the Indy car. What's the drag cars with two big wheels in the back?
Oh, like Top Fuel dragsters.
Top field dragsters. Those cars are ridiculous. But back to the GTR. Of course, this car is a beauty. Now, to the little analysis we got here. Now, maintenance on cars like these, you pop a tire in these, they run flats. You pop a tire, it's gonna run you. It's gonna run you probably like 500 for one tire. Around there, it's probably gonna run you from around 500. Can you confirm that, Ryan? Is that about right?
Yeah, at least.
Because BMW tires are around 300. Around three. BMW might be 500 too. So yeah, I think BMW is probably like 600 for two or around that range. So let's not even talk about performance parts. If your radiator starts leaking, and that's the thing. These cars are meant to drive fast, but if you drive them aggressive and fast, that is when you come into some problems. You start hitting turns at angles you're not supposed to be hitting turns at. Your chassis, your drivetrain, you're gonna start messing things up that you don't want to mess up. And it's hard. When you got a fast car, you want to do crazy stuff in it. Me personally, I'm not trying to get no speeding tickets. That's why, in all me, high-end cars are not worth it because you can't do what they're meant to do. We're not living in Germany where
That's fact.
we can't really. People do it. If you go on the highway around in the midday time, you see some cars really going crazy because they got the space. I've seen actually, I believe it was to this day, I swear it was a track car, but it was a Corvette, I think similar to the one Ryan was referencing. And this car was so fast, the cops stopped chasing it. Like, that's how fast these cars go. I'm not doing that, though. I'm not putting myself in a car chase. I'm not doing that. So, yeah, that's my analysis on the second car. Is
Yeah,
it? I don't know if it's worth it.
I remember hearing somewhere, someone said something along the lines of, "It's better to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow," and I always kind of remembered that because
Really?
I think if you're, I mean, especially on the road, because you shouldn't be doing anything crazy on the road, where I think it's just more about getting the most out of your car, and you're gonna get more out of a slower car than these faster cars, unless you're going to a track, which I think ideally is you just leave everything, like all your wild driving for the track, if you can, if you have like the ability and the money to take a car to a track. Actually, so also that the same GTR that you picked, that was kind of my backup pick, but I had a feeling that you were going to pick that car. I think honestly that GTR and the Corvette I picked, they're kind of, I feel like they're always in the same conversation of like these affordable like supercars, that because their performance is just crazy for the relatively cheap price of like just over 100,000, but that's relative.
Yeah, usually they sacrifice the interiors though, right? The interiors be like super bland.
Yeah, well, that's you pay 120,000 for a Corvette, but it still has a Corvette interior. But at the same time, maintenance costs is still gonna be high. But also, there's always a Nissan or Chevy dealership like around where you can take it to it. So it's not,
Yeah.
and they're probably gonna have parts because I'm sure they share a lot of parts with other the Corvette. I'm sure shares parts with like the whatever like Chevy.
Yeah.
Malibu or something.
Really? You think?
Yeah, no, for sure. I forget the specifics, but there's it's little things, like the buttons on like the stereo. It's like the same stereo that's in the Malibu.
Okay.
It's like little things like that. Not like the performance parts is what. That's why like they're the more affordable performance cars is because the parts that matter is what is expensive. But they share
twin
parts with
turbos and Malibus.
No.
All right, what's your third pick? Oh wait, yeah, what's your third pick?
So for 200 plus, this
Don't
is
they call them
honestly,
they call them hypercars now or no?
I would say for like 200 plus, that's I would still consider that a supercar.
Oh, okay, okay.
And yeah, above that, you could get into like hypercar territory. But definitely for 200 plus for me, I think this is where I think the that 100 to 200, the Nissan GTRs, the like Corvettes, even like a Porsche 911 is another good choice too. I think those cars are still worth it to like if you really have expendable cash to like take it to a track. Like I don't know as far as
Expendable.
like daily driving, these cars. I don't know if it's worth it. And when we get to 200 plus, this is where I almost don't know if it's worth it at all. I did go with a 2020 McLaren 600 LT. Starts at 256,592 horsepower. Actually, it's 26 mile per gallon on the highway. I kind of honestly I feel like they've been releasing so many McLarens lately. There's like 570s, 600 LT, 675, 700, and I kind of just picked this one because it was the first one that came to my mind. But I think it's pretty popular now too. It's just like like a supercar. I feel like you see lots of famous people driving them and see them on YouTube, and I think they're definitely that upper echelon of luxury where the interior is just like all like that soft was it Alcantara? I can't think of the name of whatever the material is called, but it's just you definitely if you would sit in it, you would definitely feel like you're in a McLaren. But I personally don't know if it's worth it. So what was your pick, Clay?
Funny, my pick was also McLaren, but
Mm-hmm.
my McLaren is the 570S. I'm a base model type of guy. I don't need the super duper McLaren.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just want. Hold up. Let me make sure this is the right one because yeah, my thing is that if you ever seen a McLaren, actually, my first time encountering a McLaren is inside like I believe Need for Speed. I can't remember which one it was, but you had to do this time trial with the McLaren and McLarens. I believe Porsches do the same thing. There's certain models where once you reach, I think, 50 miles per hour, the wing comes up out of the trunk
Oh yeah.
and hangs up. And that was the sickest thing I've ever seen. I actually saw a Porsche do it in real life. I have not seen a McLaren do it in real life yet. Um, but yeah, so this McLaren is a this is 192,000, 192 and 500,000. Yeah, it's pretty hefty. But 0 to 60, this one they don't graph it in 0 to 60 for some reason. I believe probably because they do kilometers. But they have 0 to 62 miles per hour in 3.2 seconds, which is insane. Um, this has a 562 horsepower, which is just below the GTR. And as Ryan's saying, the interior on these, it's just crazy. It's absolutely insane. They got like the basketball leather on the inside, felt material on the steering wheel, felt material on the dashboard. Got the oh wait, McLaren's a right side drive? Yes, they are.
If
I did not know that.
if you're buying it in a country that's right side drive.
Okay, okay. Yeah, the one I was looking at is
Yeah.
you know what's crazy? They have a cup holder in this car that looks insane. I like that. I like the cup holder. Yeah, and these cars just make you feel like you're in a rocket ship. They got all these little buttons going on that make you feel like you gotta put like some super jet fuel in it to go. This is only like 23 miles per hour. Well, 23 miles per gallon, which is ridiculously dumb. You know, you're literally dropping a gallon to the grocery store. Uh, this car right here is so sick though. I've seen a few by my school. Some students had them. They're very rich students, but yeah, they had them. I just love also the McLarens. The thing that drew me to start liking the McLarens is the two tone thing that they got going on. How like they kind of have like where the cutouts are on the door. Sometimes they'll have the door in like carbon fiber, or they'll have a little blue and orange kind of accents that crisscross to kind of make it look crazy. Excuse me. Now, me personally, I don't think this is worth it even a little. I'm sorry, guys, but supercars to me are not worth the actual purchase. If you want to get one, I would definitely get like at least 10 years old, so at least kind of cut the cost. But it's like if you can't afford, this is a different situation before where you're buying to save money. But if you're buying a supercar to save money, you most likely can't afford the parts if something were to go wrong. So I would never recommend doing this. This is something I would honestly just rent, like McLaren. You want to really drive a McLaren, it's probably going to be like a $5,000 down payment, and it's like I think it's like $1,000 a day. I want to say something around there.
Okay.
So $1,000 to drive your dream car for a day. Got your girl in the car, flexing a little bit. I'd say do that. I mean, to me, that's the more. I mean, it doesn't sound practical, but for car lovers, it sounds practical. Get it for a day or two. Spend that $2,000. Um, I think that's what I would do. I mean, Ryan has a little different ideology in this regards because we had actually a little argument before we even got on the pod about cars appreciating, and I was under the impression that no, like cars don't appreciate at all within like pretty much your lifetime. But I was thinking about modern luxury cars. He was going more limited edition route. So yeah, I mean that's a big investment. That's a big. I mean, I don't think. How do they? Do people take loans for the super hypercars and stuff, or you got to go cash?
I don't know. They might take out, credit for it, but I'm not sure.
Because most of these cars, I mean, like BMW i8, Bugatti, stuff like that, you have to get on a list. You got to know people to get on the list to buy it. I mean, the i8, I'm not sure if you needed to be on a list per se, but it was just they weren't making that much when it first started. And I knew a kid that his parents were actually on a list, a wait list to get one. And yeah, I mean, like the i8 was a crazy concept. It was a very like concept type looking car as well. Ryan was talking about. I mean, Bugattis though, like that's like soccer players. They buy those. I think T Pain bought a Bugatti, made a whole bunch of bad investments, like broke the car because he was driving like couldn't afford to repair it. Just sold it back to the dealership. And Bugattis, they make like I want to say like a crazy minimum amount per year. Like, isn't it like I don't even want to say the number so I can get trolled, but I know it's like they like make per order. Like, don't you have to order it and then they make it? Yeah, get the
Yeah,
keys going, boy. Get the
I'm
keys.
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they're made to order. They're all handmade, like in France.
Yeah,
Um, actually,
Benzema, Kareem Benzema on the Real Madrid. I believe he has a few. I know he definitely has one. I'm not sure if he has.
so from a quick Google search, it looks like there's 450 units of the Bugatti Veyron.
That's available right now.
That's how many they made. Period. So
Oh yeah. See, that's yeah.
like 450
450.
over. It was from like 2005 to 2011, or no, 2005 to 2015.
Wow. The earlier Bugatti Veyrons look actually I don't know. They kind of look cool now because they look older.
Yeah, it was definitely a few years ago where they didn't age too great.
Yeah.
It was kind of that like 2005 2010. I feel like some cars definitely did not age that well in
Yeah.
that
To,
year.
so to me, I feel like investing in supercars, if you're a multi-million-dollar oil fund person, I personally would not recommend you to get a hypercar for future investment. I think it's too much of a crapshoot. Um,
I
but
think it's I
yeah,
think
what are you gonna
I think it could be worth it. I think to all the billionaires that are listening to this right now,
say?
and are taking financial advice from a couple of 20-something-year-olds. I think it's the limited runs, the kind of sought after. I was mentioning the Clayton before, the 4 GTs that came out recently. There's a lot of hype around those because there was a limited run where you had to apply and they like hand picked who was going to be able to even get 4 GT, like no matter how much money you had. And those cars, I believe, are appreciating a lot. So my favorite kind of general car was a Corvette, like I said before, but the Porsche Carrera GT from I think the like 2005 is my favorite, like one specific car of all time, and that car is appreciated a lot. And that was just a car from 2005. I think they made around 400 of those too. So it's these lower produced cars, like a couple hundred units, that I think can often be a decent investment if you have that kind of money. But I can't think of one off the top of my head that did like flop. That just didn't appreciate. But
well, the limited edition ones.
Yeah, I can't think of one that was like a super limited car that flopped. I think as long as it's not like just a piece of garbage, and it was if it was limited in any way, I feel like there's gonna always be that.
Well, yeah, there's always going to be a demand for limited edition
Yeah.
cars, especially as the dollar increases the dollar decreases in worth, and just more people are being born. Just the sheer how money is spent now is just different. So, yeah. So anything limited, it's like buying some sneakers that are limited. You never know. Most of the
Right.
time, if it's limited, it's gonna appreciate most of the time. It's really rare, and then usually it's not about it appreciating; it's about how much it appreciates by. But
Right.
so, out of your list of high end cars, which one do you think is actually worth it?
So, I think the ones that are worth it. I
For
think
you personally,
for me personally, like I would have to go with a Corvette, and I think actually, so the brand new Corvettes are actually now mid-engine cars, and I think they still like the 2020 model year Corvette starts at 50, I think $59,000, and it's a mid-engine car with close to 500 horsepower that honestly probably rivals like the Ferraris and Lamborghinis, because they got that classic. It's rear wheel drive mid engine cars, and that's like the classic layout for kind of performance supercars. But it starts at 59,000, and I think that was definitely worth the price, because for people who might not know, Corvette has been rear wheel drive front engine like V8 for decades, and they recently in their newest model changed to a mid engine layout, and I think it was a pretty good switch. I think it's got to be one of like the best valued supercars. It's weird saying that a supercar starts at 59,000, but I would say that that's what it is.
Very interesting. And I mean, truthfully, them making that car might pose some societal problems. I'm not going to lie. Having people where, I mean, you don't see Corvettes that often, regardless. I've actually seen mint, some mint classic Corvettes. Like, I've been seeing them a lot. Long Island, actually, this year specifically, the old school the classic cars have been out. Now, I yeah, having a chance where you can have, let's just say, 10 more potential Ferrari like fast cars on the road doesn't seem too safe to me. It just doesn't seem too safe to me. Having mid-engine cars just more consistently being on the road doesn't seem too safe to me. And that's just me though, because it's just those, like, you get in a car accident at that speed, it's just the fatality rate is very high. So it's just not something for me. I would love to test drive yours, Ryan, when you get one, because I mean, hey, that's possible right there. Me, I think the only I was absolutely gonna say the BMW. I was gonna say it's worth it, but yo, it's just like there's just too many cons for me. The super unleaded premium gas, the only 28 miles per gallon. The the oil changes that cost $80. I mean, I do. Some dealerships offer free oil changes. Some dealerships. I actually heard this. One of my coworkers, they have unlimited car washes for their BMW.
Wow.
That is very enticing, I must admit.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably something a BMW dealership would do. Is say,
Yeah,
hey, free car washes, oil changes.
for
But
life.
yeah,
That would be insane. So I'm kind of pushing towards the Alfa Romeo and BMW kind of being worth it. The run flats, that's essential. I pick SUVs type crossover, so it's got space in it, you got all-wheel drive. I'm gonna go with I'm not going to say they're absolutely worth it, but I can see the argument of them being worth it. You know what I mean? But then, I mean, like I would go for like an older model to save a little money. Was like if it's an older model, you're not getting it from the dealership. There's probably something wrong with it. The parts are expensive. You get a tire, your wheel, you gotta change it up.
yeah. How
Um,
much? How much was the X4 starting for?
Export started at 51K.
51.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's after.
I think like the easy way to save 51,000 is just to not buy the X4 ever.
You're a hater because you don't like how the crossovers look. Fun fact: the reason why I love crossovers is because Jurassic World is a very good movie, and they had the chrome Mercedes GLE AMGs, and they were just so sick to me. And that's
No, that's a.
another one
I think
that
that's a
goes
good
another
looking
one.
car.
Bro, it looks just like the BMW X4, X6. Like they're pretty much the same car.
Hmm. Really not.
BMW just kind of makes it look more futuristic. I feel like the I mean, the Mercedes makes it look more futuristic. The BMW kind of looks like an off-roading car, kind of like something you get in GTA,
It's
like a Doom
like a
buggy.
hot
Looks like a
like
Doom
a
buggy,
like a Hot Wheels car.
like a ah yeah. So I'm on the borderline of it being worth it or not. I probably will either own or rent a GTR in my life. So that's just because it's my favorite. But in all, I say, maybe worth it for the bottom line luxury. Now,
I just
to
wait.
round,
I just want
go
to
ahead.
jump in 1 second real quick because I there's a car that I thought of earlier that I feel like we should mention too, and as far
Okay.
as well, I so they don't make them anymore, but I know it's a one of your favorites too. It's the Dodge Viper.
Oh, you're right. When you said Corvette, I instantly thought Viper.
Yeah, because
And who owns the rights now? SRT?
uh I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm sure someone's probably still owns the rights, but they don't make them anymore. Um, but if
But
they did,
aren't they?
that
Aren't doesn't like that Hennessy or something like doesn't not Hennessy. What was that car that beat the Bugatti in a race? It was a Rogue, Nissan Rogue, but it was a company that
it was a
customizes
Nissan.
cars.
It was a Nissan Rogue.
Yes, it was a Nissan Rogue that beat a Bugatti in a race.
Was it? Was it? It was like the Rogue that had it. It was like actually a GTR.
Something like that. It was supercharged, and it's oh my gosh. Sorry, pod listeners, because I have to look this up real quick.
So yeah,
And
the
they were the yeah go.
I was just say if yeah, while you look that up, the because I supposedly brought up the Viper because as far as those because I think they're kind of around like 90 to 100K, but they're they were some of like the fastest cars like at all compared to the hundred like multiple hundred thousands like Ferraris and Lamborghinis. These Vipers were just like so fast for what, especially for the price, but not even disregarding the price, they were so fast. Unfortunately, they don't make. I'm pretty sure they don't make them anymore. Otherwise, I definitely would have picked that one.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Did you happen to
Um,
find it?
you know what happened? I didn't find it, but it wasn't a Rogue. It was a Nissan Juke, and
Oh, that's right.
the brand. I'm not sure if it was a custom brand with it, but the brand that I was thinking of, they did the custom Lotus Elise. If that rings your memory,
Oh yeah, that's the Hennessy Venom GT. Yeah.
yes. Now that yeah, okay. I could have swore Hennessy had the rights to the Vipers or SRT has the rights to the Vipers.
I'm sure that Dodge probably still has the rights to it, but they discontinued it for
Okay,
now. Maybe they'll bring it back. I don't know.
yeah, I see a 2017 Viper right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. But they stopped using like the Dodge logo, didn't they? They just used strictly a SRT logo. I thought.
Yeah, it had. I'm pretty sure the Viper has its own logo.
Yeah, yeah,
Like same with like the Corvette. The Corvette doesn't have any Chevy like logos on it. Corvette.
yeah,
Same with the Viper. It just has that. Like, I think it's literally like a picture of a Viper.
yeah. It's a Viper. I saw the one with SRT on it before though. But let's round it off the pod and let's go with our three affordable options. These are options that I recommend everyone to get. And I'll go first. So first one is the new and improved Toyota RAV4. These cars look sick. They look just like Lexus's, like the big body Lexus trucks. It goes for 26K, has 35 miles per gallon. Now this car, excuse me, I've seen deals like 210 a month on lease. Like these deals are going crazy for this car. Touchscreen, interior is crazy. Got a whole bunch of space, all-wheel drive. Just a great car for all purposes. This might be my next car, honestly, because it already looks sick right now. We're in 2019. I can only imagine when my lease is up what it's going to look like. It's going to look crazy. My number two car is the Kia Optima. This car right here is a little quick car, 185 horsepower. This one goes for 24K, I believe. And the miles per gallon is around the same as a little less than the RAV4. It's from like 30 to 35. This is a nice car, really spacious in the back. It's one like the expanded sedans. Great car, nice looking. Interior's crazy. This is another affordable car that you can have some fun in it. You can pick up some speed. You can do whatever you want. Take care of the fam. Take care of some groceries. Do all that you gotta do. And my final choice is a tad expensive, but in the long run, this car is 100% worth it. Ryan, you know what I'm going to say. This is the Tesla Model 3. Now, this car right here is an anomaly. And to this day, I really don't understand how it was able to be created as efficiently as it is. So, this car right here, 0 to 60, 3.2 seconds. That's tough. This car goes for around 50K, and you can do 322 miles per trip. Now, there's a whole bunch of charging stations that are being implemented all throughout where we live. Um, and I think it's just really like this car right here is just the end goal. I mean, if everyone's driving around this car, the world's gonna be a better place. Um, and if you calculate your savings from not paying for gas, not doing oil changes, you're saving about 8K a year that you would spend on gas, oil changes, just little things that you don't have to pay for with a Tesla Model 3. And on top of that, oh, I just lost my complete train of thought. But you can go in the HOV lane. It's a clean pass vehicle, you know what I'm saying? You can do what you gotta do. That I just got picked up my thought. My finishing thought is that we don't know when a Tesla is burnt out. There's rumored to be a Tesla out there that has 1 million miles on it, and the motor still runs. We don't know when a bad motor is. We don't know. This car is unstoppable. I mean, it's gonna last you a lifetime. That's why I would go with it. That's probably my that's one of my end goal reasonable car. It's not reasonable in price from the jump, but eventually, if you own this car, this is the car that I would finance instead of leasing because I probably would want to have this car forever. So, Ryan,
Yeah. So I had a couple cars listed, and actually, as you were listing your first couple cars, that I hadn't even thought of the Tesla until you started talking, but then you ended up bringing it up. So actually, just to kind of go off that, I agree with that. You mentioned the Rav4 would be possibly your next car, which I didn't know, and I think it's really interesting. It's a good looking car. I kind of figured I like to imagine my next car would be a Model 3 because I think you mentioned like a $50,000 trim version. They do start at around 30,000, I think. Now they're not getting that 0 to 60
Oh yeah,
time.
you're right. You're right. You're right. I couldn't
Yep.
listen. The site was so difficult to maneuver
Yeah.
through, but I just remembered. You're right. There is
Yep.
coming out that is going to be.
Yep. And and also another thing with the whole, we don't know if like any of them have died. I have heard about like their batteries do kind of like degrade and like lose their juice, just like everyone knows their phone batteries. When you have an older phone, the battery is like shot, and just doesn't last as long.
Mhm.
We have I know we have seen that with Teslas. It's not to the extent of how it feels with your phone. It's not like you're gonna be like I can't even make a day without charging. Um, but it definitely is interesting because it is such a recent kind of phenomena of all these Tesla cars. It's very interesting to see how long they're really gonna last. I think that was a good point too. Honestly, and with the charging stations too, I live in a decently populated area. I'm in upstate New York, and that's kind of one thing I'm kind of hesitant about. Is I don't know how. I'm sure there's charging stations around here, but I don't know how many there are, and that would be something that I would kind of want to wait around for, just so that it's not ever an inconvenience, like not
Just to
being
cut
able to
you off
find
for
a
a
charging
second, there
station.
is a charging station heat map that you can see where every charging station is, and if you test drive a Tesla, they have a location device in the big old iPad looking flat screen in your dashboard that highlights every single charging station in America. So you
Yes,
can it shows you everywhere.
yes.
You can
I like I said, I just haven't looked up into it because I'm just assuming that there's not going to be that many around me, but there probably is.
yeah.
But because what I kind of would want to wait for, I think, is I'd want to live somewhere where I'd be able to install a charger like in my garage or something. Because I think that would be the ultimate convenience of you just you come home, park your car, and then when you leave in the morning, it's fully charged. That way, like you're never only on the exceptions of like long road trips is when you're stopping, to
Yes.
charge your car. For the
Um
most part, though, you're cutting out stopping at gas stations like
yeah.
forever.
Actually, that's one of the big debates. Some people that live in apartments, they don't get Teslas because they don't know if they're allowed to install a charging station into their complex. Um, I don't remember. I was talking to the guy when I was doing a test drive, and it's $500 to get your own charging station plugged in. But I believe you don't necessarily need a charging station. There's a big plug that they give you that just plugs into your house and charges the thing. It just doesn't look cool, and they don't advertise it that much. And I'm not sure if you have to pay for it. It might come with the car. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners. But the one that gets installed on the wall is $500. That looks really cool. But there is
And
another option that doesn't have to get into the wall like that.
yeah,
But if
with
you do, but
the
if you're at the apartment, it's taking electricity. Like it's taking electricity from your apartment, so your bill might go crazy.
right, and having it installed like properly, it would probably certainly charge faster too.
Oh yeah, yeah. The that's the thing. The $500 wall mount thing charges within 6 hours. The big plug thingy that I don't remember the name is like 12 plus hours to charge.
Yeah.
But they
I,
are installing new charging stations that are like 30-minute full charges, but you got to pay for it.
yeah. So besides these new Teslas, which you're kind of talking about how it's crazy how we've got to this point where these Teslas are becoming affordable, and it is kind of Elon Musk. He's at the same time a meme and like a genius at the same time. And he did have a plan to start out with, he started out with the Model S. Well, technically started with the Roadster back in the day, but then started producing the Model S and was able to, build up the factories and, the resources to be able to produce these cheaper electric cars. So it is, and I think it's important that, he's kind of led the way for also other manufacturers to kind of respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so as far as my other two choices, though, I had listed the Toyota GT86 or also the Subaru BRZ, which is just I think starts at 27K, 200 horsepower. You get a manual or automatic with paddle shifters, rear wheel drive. Lightweight, just like fun, kind of one of the more affordable, kind of sportier cars, and also kind of a genre of cars that I find are really interesting are hot hatches. So like the Volkswagen Golfs, the Ford Focuses, even maybe like a Honda Civic hatchback. I think they can be like really fun cars, more affordable, and all around, kind of a good alternative. I usually look for more affordable, fun cars to drive as opposed to the typical luxury brand cars.
Here we go. Luxury, high end versus affordable and convenient. Now,
Absolutely.
Ryan, he put a little different spin on his view of what he looks for in an affordable car because he's looking for a little fun experience. By fun, he means drive really fast. Me, I'm chilling. No, I'm cruising. I'm not. So being fast is not really. I'm very big on, and but yeah, you got the two perceptions. Two perspectives. I mean, so Ryan's more for the speed. I'm more for looking lit, looking swaggy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, my main luxury high end car is gonna be the let's go Alfa Romeo Stelvio. I'm gonna stay a little unique with mine. That and the Tesla. Yeah. If I had to pick one out of all these, money doesn't matter. I'm going with the Nissan GTR. What about you, Ryan? To wrap it up.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Corvette is still like great. That great value and one of my favorite cars. And I mean, definitely the Tesla Model 3 because I'm considering that as a next car potentially.
That's crazy. We're leveling up over here, boys. I want to thank you guys if you guys got through this entire
Yeah.
this entire podcast. If you got through this entire podcast, the first person that hits me or Ryan up saying I got through the podcast gets a free Supreme sticker. There we go. First giveaway. Let's see who got through it. I don't think anyone's actually going to get through this whole entire thing.
Absolutely not.
This is Clay Bands. I'm out of here.
This boy Catch Up.
We out. Catch y'all next episode.